All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Recreation Advisory Board meeting, June 15th, 2023. Looks like we have a quorum today, so I'd like to go ahead and start the meeting, call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So, like we always do, if anybody has anything that they might like to add or comment on, now is the time. Anybody? Okay. Couple things. I don't have the minutes from the April 20th meeting. I have not seen them yet.
She just sent them.
Okay. So, anyways, for the approval of the minutes, I recommend we just strike that for now, unless I can read over them. Has everybody read them?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can also, if any of you want to make a motion, I have not looked at them, so I could abstain. That's up to you guys.
I did read them, but I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know that it would be fair for me to vote.
Okay, why don't we, yes, I have not checked my email, so why don't we just push that until our July 20th meeting? The only other thing I have is that we will just have a little change in the bylaws ad hoc committee section under the old business. We will discuss that. There will be a discussion on that. So, all right.
Who's taking minutes tonight?
That's a good question.
Our legend Andrea's not even sure.
Well, I might as well start. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. I will take as best as I can of the minutes. So we will go ahead and start with the agenda, starting with the new business, if that suits everybody.
Let's rock and roll.
Okay. New business. Okay, this is community member insights. This was off the cuff, just something that I thought would be a good thing to install into new business, because we are all out talking to people, hopefully, throughout the period of the month between meetings. And when people know that I'm on the board, they'll sometimes let me know some things. So I have a couple insights, and perhaps in the coming months, if you guys all have something, that's great. I feel like that would really add something to our meeting. It would also get us interacting with the community. So just two insights that I had, and Catherine Ann, I mentioned these to you. There was a community member on the far east side who, when the dog park was removed for the solar panel array, they had always liked that there were bluebird houses in that area, and were concerned. And I don't know, maybe there have been some erected, but in the future they had hoped that something could be put up. And I feel like in this case, definitely people get emotional, and I can understand that. And small gestures like putting up some boxes in places that would work, because that'll be hopefully an area that it's going to try to be is that going to be a pollinator area, a natural, kind of a natural space. So that would be good. And there's places like, I will tell you, if you notice on the golf course, I think I mentioned this to you, often they'll have two birdhouses back to back, if anybody's ever noticed that. And you might go, well, that's kind of odd, because I've always seen bluebirds nest in one and only by itself. But tree swallows will nest in the other one a lot of times. So that's kind of a neat relationship. They don't seem to mind each other. They forage for different things, so they're not competing. So that's just something to consider. They also mentioned in the area that was the grub area behind the community center, just about they had enjoyed that there was elderberry there, and they missed having that. And so I guess more like the thing on that is hopefully in the future, we can find things like that are growing there and promote their growth. But that, it's, I guess to me, I take that, and it's important to me to hear what people are saying, because I know often it's hard to find the right avenue to send your whatever type of information it is. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I feel like that's a perfect example. So hopefully you guys...
I have some other things that I've...
Awesome.
This pertains to the skate park. I've had some members that use it quite often mention they would like some more seating for spectators, and some more practice pipes, mostly the grind pipes, just so people can practice their skills and tricks more. So, very specific things, but if that's appropriate to mention now.
That is perfect.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
I said I will bring that up.
So is it practice pipes and also like
They're
more...
grind pipes, but they
okay.
need them for practice.
Okay. Because I know...
So it kind of when you put your skate on it, the middle's out and you kind of just use it to go down, but
yeah.
they would like more practice areas.
That's...
But I think the spectator one was a big one too. So I think a lot of people have adults that come with their kids, and they don't have as many places to like sit kind of back, but back to watch. And it is a very entertaining area to watch.
Yeah, it's busy too.
I love that. That's great. I know in the past I've heard that it seemed like more beginner stuff was sought after for the skate park, like an area for to get people started more. I could be wrong, but I feel like I've heard that, and it sounds like what you're saying is kind of along those lines.
I think one of the younger kids kind of use the easier places on there. I think that's why they want to add a few more trick things to learn on. I think with the Bailey's Trails, the addition of the pump track, the kids can learn there, and then they kind of come to the skate park to show off more. And it's kind of like that's our elementary, and this is kind of our graduated. Is more the Athens skate park one.
That's awesome. Thank
I'm
you.
sure I don't know that we can afford a pump track in Athens, but maybe someday. Put it on the list.
I know that is something that I'd always had in mind too. I think a part of the problem is the location, like where that, like naturally I would think that down there near the skate park would be ideal, but with the flooding, I feel like that's just a no-go. So that's always been my sticking point.
And it seems like people can get out to the Bailey's Trail because it's always loaded from wee little 2-year-olds up to adults. So I think, plus I know skaters, they like to mix it up.
Yeah. Well, I'm an advocate for the pump track just because that's a good way for, like you're saying, for people that are beginners to learn the skills. It's a safe place. And also the other thing that I like is somebody that has skills can still have fun too doing it. And so it's kind of like there's really no downside. But great. Let me just write one thing and
This could also be a good opportunity to share praise that you've heard from community members as well.
Movie night.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
Yay.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
great.
Is that a good turnout?
It was a great turnout. Yeah, talking about
Thank
when
y'all
they
for
showed
going.
Field of Dreams last week. Yeah.
Is this the one on the top of the parking garage? Or
No,
this
it
was
was
the-
behind the rec center. So it was what was it?
It was last Saturday.
Saturday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So thank you.
Thank y'all.
that's great that you mentioned the praise because I had positive feedback on the way that you sign up for your membership for the pool
Nice.
and the portal or whatever. So that I just want to let you know that
Great.
they were very pleased. It seems like it was a great improvement. So
Awesome.
nice job. And we're
Thanks.
we're excited for the season. One other thing, unless anybody has any more community insights, but I'll give you my environmental tidbit for the day. Garlic mustard, if any of you are aware of garlic mustard, it is right now the second year plants are getting close to being ready to eject their seeds. They're starting to swell and develop, and so it's a good time to pick it and dispose of it if you can. I mentioned second year plant. It's a biennial, which means that they live for 2 years. So the first year it's a low, has broader leaves, it's kind of gaining energy, and then in the second year it takes. And so I don't really bother pulling the first years because their roots are so. It's kind of like a pasta almost, and so if it breaks off, then they can come back. But in the second year, if you pull them, you can often get the whole root just because they're sending energy from the roots, directing it to formation of the seeds, and so the roots are weakened. Anyway, sorry for the long-winded explanation, but my point is now's the time. If you see a whole bunch now, and you don't do anything about it, you're going to see a whole bunch more in the coming years. So I got my daughters out today and we pulled some on our property, but just my
Thanks.
garlic mustard. It's the changing world. There's invasives everywhere, and you do what you can. But okay, great. I appreciate you guys for sharing in that. I think I definitely make an effort to reach out to people too and ask. I remember when we were discussing the pickleball and the tennis courts, I had talked to some people about who used the skating area behind the community center, because that seemed like a place that could get kind of forgotten about. So anyway, all right, if nobody has anything, we will just take a pause here. Give me a second. Okay. Old business. We did you guys have a chance to look over the bylaws draft that was attached? I know it's not the most exciting reading, and I don't have illustrations in there, which is what I tend to like. But if you have any feedback, that would be welcomed. If you don't, what we had discussed previously is that we may take some time just to review it again before the July 20th meeting, because it seems there's some things we're unclear on as far as the process through council. which I do believe it has to go through council, but we're gonna figure that out for sure. But yeah, do you guys have anything that you would wish to add, or
I do not.
no? Seems,
But just saying that with my experience only being this past few months, I don't have anything to add to it.
yeah,
It looked pretty thorough.
it can be, right.
Yeah.
You're kind of in a tough spot.
Yeah.
I get that for sure. So, no.
We're putting our trust in you.
Yeah, I appreciate you looking it over. And, you know, I guess I want to get this through and finished so that, you know, it's something we can check off and then it'll be done and ready to go for future. But also, I don't really have a problem with taking that time to meet. So that it seems to be the plan going forward, is that our next meeting will be on July 20th. Between now and then, I'll have a meeting, and then a better, I guess, representation. Or it could be the same, but just made sure that it's okay. Alan, does that sound good to you?
No, that makes sense. The other thing I just thought of would probably be wise that when you get to that point to just give both documents to the law director, just to make sure that everything's kosher in terms of language, where this, matches this. And she's very helpful in matters like that. She often thinks of things that we don't think about.
I guess the only question I had, and I think I brought up in the last meeting, was terms of office begin on January 1, and obviously we've had some turnover and people have started at different times. Like, does that language need to be in there?
That's a, yeah.
Ash, in the current ordinance under 3.07.42, section C, it says all members of the board shall be appointed, reappointed to staggered 3-year terms. Board members may serve 2 consecutive 3-year terms. Vacancies on this board occurring otherwise than by expiration of a term shall be filled for the unexpired term and appointed in the same manner as the original appointments. All members shall, and this part you don't want to hear, all members shall serve without compensation. In other words, you're not getting paid. So, for example, Ash, your term, did it begin this past January 1st?
No, I came in like July.
Okay, so you're whoever you replaced. Let's just, for the sake of example, let's say that their term started on January 1 by city code. Is what I'm reading from. Let's say that their term started on January 1 of 2022. Their term would have run for all of 22, all of 23, and all of 24. You came in July, so your term would run for the rest of 22, all of 23, and all of 24.
Right.
Now, the reason we talked about a difference in what terminology, in here, what it says is different, and these proposed bylaws is different from that. And that's what we need to clarify, which takes precedent. I would assume it's what council voted on, but like everything else in the code, it can be changed and amended.
Yeah, I guess that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
We're just clarifying things.
Yeah, and we just had a resignation not too long ago, right?
Uh,
For the
Yeah.
last 6
yeah, it
months.
was,
Yeah.
what was that, December or was it January? Oh, no.
And did Stuart take that place,
remember.
or
Stuart
Annie?
did take that
Stuart and I
place.
both came in.
think.
It might have been 2 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of you took a position that was not occupied, and one of you, anyway, you would finish out that term according to the current
Just tell us
code.
what-
But again, that's why we want to reconcile these two to make sure that they are in agreement.
Can you repeat that as far as Ash coming in July 22, right? According to the current code.
He would finish out the rest of that 3-year term. So whoever had his position, and if they started on January 1st of 2022,
Yeah.
what we really need is a flow chart here, is who's in what term.
Exactly.
And you know what? We can ask Debbie Walker the clerk of council, she would have when you each came on and when your
Oh,
term
what term,
was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
she would have it. We can have, in fact, Daniel, if you would make a note of that, we can ask Debbie Walker. And she can call it up like that. She's been doing this for close to 40 years and has it down to a T.
I think it's supposed to be on the website too with the term, but I haven't checked to see if it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, it
updated.
is on there.
But I just thought of that, and
So as long as there's some language in that bylaws to represent what you've said,
Right.
that'd be
Yeah.
very helpful.
Because in the bylaws, in this draft version, and not to get into the weeds here, but in the bylaws, the draft version says, each board member, each board commission member, voting member will be appointed up to 2 consecutive 3-year terms. That's not what I'm looking for. I read it today. Shoot.
it does say on the website the end of the terms, but they're all 3-year terms, so it doesn't
So like-
align with something that isn't quite, because I remember that being you fill the,
Yeah, we didn't want 7 new people at one
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Ash, what does it say, when does
it
he?
says 5/1/2025.
So even
So that
that
is-
is different than
Yeah.
starting January 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
yeah.
so.
It's like
3 years.
from my understanding, it's when you come in, you have 3 years for your term, right? So if I came in May,
That's also what I understand, because I know I'm expiring in. It's funny to say that, but in February, so that was kind of when I expired.
Right.
No, there's an inconsistency because it does have the ordinance enlisted below it, and it says they shall be filled for the unexpired term and appointed in the same manner as the original appointment. So there's an inconsistency there.
Yeah.
yeah,
that
then
needs to be
this
addressed.
bylaws needs to go with city code and basically be clarified and aligned, right? And we're not there yet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that's what
Got
we've
it.
got to work on as the ad
Yeah.
hoc,
Yeah.
which is good. At least we've got more understanding of that now.
But we hope when you all are appointed, you will agree to serve the full 6 years. 'Cause, for about 18 months, yeah. I knew Catherine and she knew me, but who are these other people that are coming and going? So yeah, we'll get that clarified, so I can work with Lisa and Debbie to get it down to a T.
All right. Great. That's good. That's, what we're looking for is good positive discussion. The next on the list, the Old Business Master Plan Ad Hoc Committee. Unfortunately, I missed that meeting.
Yeah, same. Aaron was there, but I did not have a chance to get filled in by anyone who was there
Okay.
about what happened. But I knew that they wanted to talk about it tonight, but
Yeah.
or at the next advisory board meeting, but then they weren't going to be here. So
Okay.
yeah,
No
no
problem.
updates.
I guess time does seem to be of the essence with that. In my opinion, maybe I'm a little bit wrong, but just trying to, from what we had talked about, getting the survey or the feedback from the community. It'd be nice to get that started sometime soon. So.
Yeah.
Um,
So wait on Megan and Andrea, I think.
Oh, I guess, maybe what we should plan for is in the next couple weeks, trying to have some communication via email or whatever, and if there's any legwork that can be done, I'm definitely up for that, and if anybody else is willing. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on that. You guys have any questions about it, or any thoughts on the master plan that you might have had since the last time we convened? Okay. the next two, adaptive sports and recreation catalog, that's something, I think we last meeting had discussed just how there's really not much available for, especially with Roller Bowl shutting down and not having a place for bowling, because I know that bowling was one. I've been just trying to brainstorm some possibilities that we don't have, and I haven't really thought of much, but I was hoping maybe you guys had come up with some ideas, or had any thoughts.
The city should buy Roller Bowl, is that what you're saying?
It's not going to be under my department. It would be awesome, but I don't want to staff that.
Yeah.
Do you offer any kind of adaptive sport in
We've been
kind of
talking
programming?
about adding in basketball, a sort of inclusive basketball experience. And I know Aaron's been working on that as a side project. Yeah. Because right before COVID, when I was a professor at the university, we had gotten to, that fall semester, I used my inclusive recreation class, and we had planned I'm trying to remember the name of it, but a program for inclusive basketball. And what was it? I want to say it's like universal, but I don't think that's right. But anyways, the name at this point is... And so the spring, we were going to implement it at the community center. Of course, we all know what happened in the spring of 2020.
Yeah.
And so that's something that Erin has been interested in, because that's a way that I was working with Erin before I became director. And so she's interested in bringing that back.
I think Joe Crowley would be a good person
Yeah.
to connect with that, and
Yeah.
our department can maybe help with that programming perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Because he runs the inclusive rec class now for both fall and spring semester, so
Yeah.
that might be a good kind of like segue there.
Yeah, it's helpful to have people in the community who are willing to engage and collaborate and often volunteer, because our coaches are volunteer, and that's kind of our biggest barrier when it comes to creating new, even fulfilling our existing catalog of activities, is getting people to lead those activities. So
On a consistent
we're always
basis.
looking for the collaboration. That's why it's important to collaborate with folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we had the leaders, the space could probably be found.
Oh,
Is what
yeah.
we think.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking more like futsal things inside
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
less restrictive environment, maybe even indoor archery or something. I don't know if anybody, if you'd be willing, space. Space is always the problem in Athens. So,
We have space.
space, so we need the instructors. Got it.
It's a chicken and egg situation with programming though, in terms of, and we've talked about this in what we've been talking about, related to creating something for the education of coaches. But the chicken and egg situation is, do you advertise the program to get people signed in with the potential that you might not get leaders or coaches to run it,
Yeah.
or vice versa, you might get the coaches potentially interested in working and volunteering in that process, and then you advertise it and people might not sign up for it. So it's a real kind of weird balance, and
Yeah.
I
that's
would
things that we've
say
got to work with.
In the summer, we lose a lot of our potential coaches, instructors, because the university, and kids are out of school. So if they were in school, they would have more potential of having helpers with them, and OU students volunteering.
Yeah, that's the big
But then
volunteer
I think
base.
summer's the big kind of like opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when kids are off school and there's opportunity to do these programs, and you're not tied to evenings. You can do it during the day. But the problem is that students are
Well, we have
potentially not there.
the camp going on now at Beacon Summer Camp that provides all these activities in space. I wonder if that would be to reach out to them to coordinate like an extension of the camp. 'Cause I
Yeah.
know whenever it's over, people are always
Oh,
bummed
yeah.
that it's over. I think it's, I
Yeah.
want to say it's 2 weeks, but I think it's more. I think it's 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, because they come over and they have
Because
vegan
their
school day
counselors
at-
are trained in activities, so
Yeah.
we just steal them.
Yeah.
I mean, motivate them to come help us.
There's a lot of connections. It's just making them, right, and
Yeah.
collaborating and getting the right people to drive it. I think that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Speaking of Beacon, I just saw that the Athens High volleyball team went over and worked with Beacon folks today.
That was probably at the camp because they brought in a sports team last year too, and I want to say it was one of the Athens teams that came to
Yeah,
see them.
volleyball today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is like around the activities, they'll focus on the volleyball players will help them with their sport. I just can't remember. I want to say it might have been the volleyball team last year too.
Same coach, so good chance.
And that's a really good one. That's a really nice adaptive sport that you can make a lot of changes to be inclusive. Easy changes.
Good options.
What was her name? You mentioned the inclusive rec class.
Joe Crowley.
Crowley.
Yeah.
Is there no bowling options in the area
Not that I
now?
know of anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
The old Baker doesn't have the bowling lanes anymore.
No, not when they,
I took class down
yeah,
there.
once they, yeah, and,
Two classes.
dodged the sewer stuff. Yeah, after when they redid Baker, the old Baker, that and the pinball machines disappeared. Catherine, has there been any discussion, and I don't mean to put you on the spot,
Yeah, no, you're fine.
because it would certainly expand your program, but has there been any discussion about possibly, because we haven't on council talked about it.
Yeah.
Has there been
Not
any-
that I'm aware of, like nothing that's happened above me or, as far as like, I don't know if there's been any conversations between like Andy and the mayor and Andrew Chicky or anything like that. But I've had fun, oh, it would be really, it would be amazing to have. Don't get me wrong. But I'm also swamped with the facilities I do have.
Understood.
But it's a resource that I think we all would like to see revive because it is really awesome to be able to have that bowling experience. I grew up bowling and we went to the bowling alley a few times before it closed and
Is it actually for sale?
I went by there today and I didn't see a for sale sign, but that's not to say at the right price, anything's for sale. There's a phone number on the,
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the question, if someone would look into it, is it for sale? Is it something you could rent out and use under the right supervision? What would be the
Yeah.
possibilities?
you want to
point.
call?
I guess we can
Rental.
call. Okay. fine.
yeah. I know it was for sale, so I hadn't heard it.
It was,
wasn't for
okay.
sale
Yeah.
anymore, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is.
Yeah.
I just didn't see a sign.
Yeah.
There may have been one there,
Yeah.
but I didn't see it.
I don't know. I haven't kept up with it.
I think for me, it's in related to this adaptive sports and rec catalogue. It's going back to kind of your new business, Dan, where you talk about community member insights and finding out what the community think so far of the programs that are out there, and also what they feel there's a need for, based on their own children, based on the community that are attending those camps and things like that. And then that way we can get good insight into thinking out, well, if there's something missing on this catalogue, can we add it? And have we got scope to add it? And if they're happy with what we've got, then we can keep moving forward in the way that we're doing and try to keep developing the programmes to be as best as they can. And hopefully we get volunteer coaches to continue leading these programmes, because that's, unfortunately, you need them to do anything, right?
Yeah.
That's where we come in.
Yeah.
For years, my daughter has kept a chart of summer camps and activities, which she shares on Facebook. And there's just one person. I would say that the consensus of the community is that they are happy with what we have, but what we have and what the need is for the town are here and here.
Yeah.
And my wife was in early childhood education for 36 years, and the same thing applies there. Quality child care. Yeah, I think most people, you're never going to please everybody on everything, but I'd say most people are very happy with what we offer, but it's that gap. and that takes people.
Yeah, of course it does.
Takes people
An
and
investment.
money to pay
Yeah.
people to do that too. And some
Absolutely.
space, like our camp, for instance. It's amazing that we've sold out, but we are unable to meet and have capacity for the actual need for people to have summer camp opportunities. And that's where we hit the space. We have space, but there is also a limit to what space we have. So
Would it need to be on the campus?
no, because we've talked about having it. I mean, yes and no, depending on. So the way the camp is right now is out of 271 since it's from out of the community center, and we've talked about camp at Arts West, but that one we'd have to just figure out the logistics because it is hard to have kids want to go outside and play, and so we'd need to figure out getting them to the park and could we ever get them over to the pool just like our campers do at the community center. We have talked about having a more outdoor based camp too opportunities, so we have potentially get rent the really big tents that get put up for an extended period of time so they have a shelter point place and then they could extend. So we've been thinking it through the ideas after this camp registration happened, and of like, okay, well, what would it look like to be able to expand? Yeah. So I think there's definitely opportunities to expand. Just thinking about re-envisioning how we offer it.
Because where I was going with this, I'm guessing before some of you were born, and our recreation complex was an old hangar down there. The recreation department, what's the word I'm looking for, utilized and relied on our public school buildings. And we have two brand new elementaries in this school, one fairly close to the rec center on the east side that basically sits empty for 90 days. Let's say that we could get access to that. Mm-hmm. Would that be too far away? Would that help? I mean, it's too late for this summer.
Yeah,
obviously.
no, I mean, it's one of the things where we would just have to, the logistics and, do those campers get access to the pool too or not? And so how do we do that? Which I think the school buses would then hopefully be something we could utilize. But then the staffing. So for our camp, I should know the numbers better. We have somewhere around 15 to 20 camp staff that we hired on. And so if we were to expand, we have to build up that, you're going to double, triple that number of staff. So then it would be so where are we going to pay for it up front, get all of that, and are we going to be able to staff it? Getting people to apply and to show up to interviews, and then you have to get them trained up, especially with the kinds of seasonal positions we have. Either they all have CPR, first aid, or they're lifeguard certified, food safety certified. So there's all these certifications that we have to do. So it's just planning out those logistics is really what it is, and figuring out, okay, well, if this, then how are we going to do this part to make sure that we're delivering and being able to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to all ideas because we also talked about the schools, what they have, a gym there, there's classroom spaces already. What would it look like? Perhaps it would be a partnership with the university. If their students knew that they could have some sort of applicable employment over the summer, more so than the limited amount that we can, offer up to people who are in childhood education and are interested in that kind of experience. But yeah.
There's Land Lab too at Morrison. That's another.
Yeah.
I went back there.
Both have school gardens too.
Yeah, and I think I've heard the Plains Intermediate has a Land Lab too that's
cool.
nearby the school.
Well, I mean, we have Camp Rotan. That could be a base camp for a session. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities that we have. Filling and making the people and the transportation work.
Right. right. Well, it was a good discussion. Ash, I think you had a really good point. So, going forward, I think in that community insights, we keep trying to get that feedback
That's important.
of what people want.
And hopefully positive feedback, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
always.
nice to share,
Yeah.
positives that you hear. I've been hearing a lot of positives, which is very nice.
Awesome. All right. The last thing on our old business, augmentative or alternative communication, AAC, the core communication boards. That was something that Megan had brought up, and she's got a pretty good knowledge on that. So, I think unless anybody has anything that they want to add about it,
I just thought it was an awesome idea, really awesome idea, and if that can be embedded into the community, I think that's fantastic for inclusivity.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So we'll definitely be talking about it moving forward, and hopefully seeing that.
Yeah.
So, good. All positive stuff. All right. Well, anybody else has anything they want to add? We can move on to number 6, the APR staff report.
I'm curious to know, what are some of the positive remarks you've been hearing?
I've been hearing that there seems to be a lot going on in the community, and I'm generalizing here, like some comments of that there's activity happening, and that feels good because it seems like things are happening within the parks and within our department that are serving the community. So, yeah.
I'll say I wish we could have made the movie night. We didn't, but it was really neat to see
Yeah.
the Copperheads involved
Thanks.
with that, and also
Yeah.
you guys do an excellent job. We went to the opening game, and it was great.
They'll have to throw out a first pitch soon.
Oh, well, my goal is to get in the hot dog eating contest, so I hope you have it.
That's the last home game,
Yeah.
Saturday, July 22nd.
I remember that's when I decided I want to do it, because I saw that last year.
Uh-huh.
I thought I could do all right.
You have an entry.
They're bringing Joey Chitwood in.
All right, sorry. Okay. I apologize for
All
that.
right. No, you're fine. So I tried to put the updates to the most happening things up in the beginning of the updates, because I know that was feedback I got. I don't even know. One of the meetings in the past. So Sells Park, we had the muck suckers up there. I just think it's amazing. But anyways, it's a form of dredging where they have cleaned off, and they finished today, and they removed a little over 4 feet of organic material. So all like the leaves, and then of course the erosion that occurs, all of that stuff builds up, and it makes it so that algae will overbloom, and this thing called duckweed, which I didn't know about, will overbloom. So, and that stuff chokes out all of the fish. It's also kind of toxic to wildlife in the area whenever it's too much. Like a little bit of algae is good, but not the amount. I mean, if you see Sells Park, it's just covered. The pond is covered. So anyways, that is a part of removing. If you remove a bunch of that, then you're kind of helping the water get healthier, and it'll take a little bit of time for us to see the positive impact of that. But they did finish it today, and there's a giant bag there, and fortunately our drainage is working out there, because the water is seeping out of the bag, and it will continue to seep out of the bag for a little bit, but it's going to the drains where it needs to go, so it's not going down the street, which is good. And it also doesn't smell that bad at all. It kind of smells earthy whenever you go up there, but that's about it, because that was one of the questions I had whenever I was working with this person. Is this what we really want to do? And I was like, it can't smell. Like, it's right in the neighborhood. Like, I'm just imagining the nasty smell, the methane gas, and he's like, that the bag contains it somehow. And it is so far. So basically, we just monitor it, and once it dries out, we can start opening up a portion here and there. And we have a skid steer, and so we can just come and kind of toss up the hard material that's left. I don't really know what to call it other than organic material. And he said that people like to use it in their gardens or if farmers come. And so we're going to offer it up to the community to come and grab, what they can and what they would like whenever it's ready, but it's not ready yet. So it has to really dry out. And so the bag will shrink over time. But right now, it was taller than me, so it's pretty fascinating.
When you get to that point, I'm going to put on my Far East Side neighborhood
Yeah.
association hat. Could you let me know, and I'll make sure that, because we have a very active communication network over there.
Yes.
And get it out, and for two reasons. One, to make sure people are doing it the right way.
Yeah.
We don't want people in at midnight and doing all kinds of things.
Right.
And secondly, when it's available, because I have a feeling with all the gardens and things on that Far East Side, be able to put a pretty serious dent in it, but don't want to get in the way.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I can get that out to the Near East Side too, because we have similar thing over there.
Yeah, thank you. Because I know, I was talking to the farmers market too, because they would have some people who would potentially be interested, and that's just another way of, they said they could haul it off, for a fee, and I was like, no, we have a community here that will use it 100%. And then we have another, they're called Jones fish, and they've been coming out and they've been treating the algae and the duckweed. And so they're doing kind of like a topical, if you will, of the pond. So collectively, all of this is supposed to really help revive our pond and bring it back to life, which is really nice. And then our intern, I've put him on some of the erosion mitigation efforts that we would like to start out at Sells Park. So there's some social trails, and we're going to start covering those up and blocking those off. You cover them up with the debris that exists out there, and then that slows how the rain, the rain's not hitting just dirt anymore, so it really slows down the erosion, and then it helps the undergrowth kind of grow back in that area to eliminate those. So there is one main trail up to kind of the Athens Trail and everything. And so I've identified that, and I've shown him, and so he's getting ready to start that project probably in July, because right now he's assembling pickleball nets, and that's taking time. But so I think there's a lot of good things that we're trying to put a good effort into Sells Park right now to help preserve it and bring it back. So we're excited about that. And then where the bag is sitting, we are wanting to work on the parking area and extending the parking area. So the bag, all the grass is going to die under it. And I'm like, cool, that's fine, because we want to make that an extended parking area, because it's a really tough place to park at Sells Park the way it is right now. So, exciting things. I've been waiting on this one, and it's exciting that it just happened. Then we have new tennis courts. So the new tennis courts were paved, and then we noticed some low spots, and we talked to the paving company, and they were going to come out and take care of like spot leveling. It's a process of like heating and adding sand and kind of re-tarring that area, re-asphalting. But then the next rainstorm came, and we were looking at it, and we were like, we really feel like there needs to be a whole new layer. Like, it just needs to be higher. So we worked with them, and they gave us a discounted, since we were asking for more than, correcting the leveling. We actually want more asphalt on there. So they gave us a discount on that, and so they're going to try to work on that tomorrow to add an inch and a quarter of asphalt, and then get the fall right so it drains off the way that it needs to. So hopefully that will be done. And then once that's done, I already have contracted with Total Tennis, and they're going to come put the tennis surface on. It's a painting system that gets added to it. Once the surface paint is in, we can put the fencing up, and we can add the seats and seating. And we've already ordered the nets through Total Tennis as well. And then we'll get a sidewalk up to it. And so, but we can't put fencing up until the surface painting happens. because of the equipment they also have to bring in, just like big equipment or they have to get close to the perimeter, all that fun stuff. And then the new pickleball courts, temporary lines have been put on by Total Tennis, and they'll come back in the late summer or fall, and they'll put the painted surface on those as well. Our intern is putting the nets together and putting them on the court. So the nets that we've gotten for both sites are weighted, so they're really heavy duty, weighted. So we're not drilling into the asphalt, so we're not opening up any holes which will hopefully maintain the life better for those courts. It decreases that freeze-thaw cycle if you don't put holes in the court. So we're trying to do that, and you can get really heavy-duty weighted ones that should stay in place just fine. So that's what we did. And then we'll have the fencing around the pickleball courts and benches, and I spoke with Ann Moneypenny about the pickleball courts and, things that she's seen, and she had some good ideas, and we talked about different shade options too. So we have some ideas working on how to incorporate shaded seating in that area and make sure you get the pickleball paddle holder so you can line up. If you're waiting in line to play pickleball, there's a whole system there. So we're working on that.
Is it so people can't, are they playing?
You can play
now?
on it now.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah.
So it's still open.
And I have signs up that are temporary, and they're kind of small, so you have to go up to them. But we are going to post that information on the website as well. That just states these are still a work in progress. They're not complete, but you can play now as long as there's no crews working. Then you are more than welcome to play. And I know that Aiden had one pickleball net up yesterday. He was working on another one today. So yeah, there will be 4. All right, then we have the concert in the parks. That one of them is going on tonight, and then we have another one July 20th, and the last one August 17th. And movies in the park, we just had the Copperhead sponsored, which was really awesome and exciting. It was fun to see pictures. My daughter had her birthday party that day, so at our house, so we were kind of spent at that point. But our next one is going to be July 28th, and then the next one's August 18th. So those will be the movies behind the community center. And then the Girl Scout troop, they worked with our intern to restore the rain garden. So there's a rain garden behind the community center, and I always knew it was a rain garden, but I didn't know how beautiful it used to look. And I didn't know that there were stone pavers, that kind of went around it. And so we worked with Teresa Caldwell from the Athens Soil and Water District, and she, showed us, this is what it used to look like. These things exist, and we walked around, and figured out. And so the Girl Scouts came, and they helped uncover, they took out some volunteer trees that didn't need to be there. Our intern actually took home some of the volunteer plants because he was like, well, these are great, I'll take these, but they don't belong in the rain garden. And so now it looks really nice. And they tested it, and it's still doing what it needs to do, which is helping slow the water so that it drains effectively from the community center roof down. So it's a stormwater mitigation effort, I believe. I've learned so much in this position, more than beyond my training. The pool open, operating, woohoo! We had a really awesome first week. The weather was just, I could not believe how hot and dry and busy it was, and it was awesome. Last week, and into this week, it was a little cool and cold, and so that's been a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. Swim lessons began this week, and we have some special programming coming up for Silver Sneakers in June this month. We did get the universal adult changing table installed in one of the family restrooms, and it came with a sign, but the sign was, it was like this big. So I ordered some signs, and hopefully I had to get them customized to say what we want them to say, and then they should be here soon, so we can put that up so people can see which adult change or which restroom it's in. But that was really exciting and a really good addition to the pool. And then the solar panels have been installed, and we're waiting for the final hookup, which won't happen till after the pool season. We're waiting for all of the solar panels to be installed because they have to do this series of shut-offs to get things hooked in, and then at some point we'll all be live, but they're there. Okay, so I think those were kind of like the new newest updates. Then we have our regular programming going on for summer, T-ball, summer camp, summer fitness, soccer, adult soccer. Arts West, we've got the rentals, the musical lending library. We have an intern working over there right now, and she's working on helping us figure out how to catalog the instruments and how to store them differently, and how we can kind of revive this musical lending library and get it kind of thriving again. Planning for fall programming. We're also going to start searching for a program specialist soon. We've been reworking the job description a little bit, and then hopefully we'll be able to post that soon. The parks, new to us playground, coming to West State Street Park this month. So that came from West Elementary. We took that. They had a really nice newer playground, and so we were able to take that, and we're going to start getting that installed later this month. And we did order parts for the community center playgrounds and the Richland Avenue playground. Lead time is really bad. So I'm really sad about the slide situation at the community center. They both broke at the same time, or were damaged at the same time. And the process of even getting the company to come look at them, because it's an older playground, and then they had to figure out what they had that would fit on them. And then then some of them took vacation, and so they have been ordered, but it's like a 6 to 8 week lead time. So, but we also ordered a few additions to the community center playground and a new bridge, because the bridge is just a really challenging bridge to navigate. And then new swings for Richland Avenue, and a new slide on the pre-K playground at the community center. Whew. All right.
What? You said new swings at the Richland Avenue
Yeah.
Park. What kind of swings?
The regular lap. I forget what they are called, like belt seats. But we need the whole new the chains. Thank you. And the U bolts that they like swing on. We just need all of that, and so we figured we would just do it all in one fell swoop instead of putting it off.
Is the structure different, or is the structure's the same?
No, the same. It'll be the same.
Okay.
Right. We're not doing anything to the structure.
Gotcha.
I did ask for a design and some options so we could start exploring what it might take to make the younger kid playground at Richland Avenue new, and make that surface the pour-in place so that it would be accessible as well, which would tie into the accessible other playground there. And so I did get two options. One was $250,000 and one was $290,000. So that surface is very expensive, but it's also, it makes it accessible. So that's something that we'll be working through, figuring out, how to redo that playground area. Not this year, next year.
If you ever have a chance to put in like a larger swings, what I mean by that is a little taller than what is at Richland. I think they used to have those at Bailey's, and I don't know if they're back or not, but when they were changing everything out there, they got removed.
I know you can adjust the chain length, which would make them sit higher off the ground. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean like taller frames, like twice the height. Like I know the Nelsonville school has them, I believe, in the back in the play area.
And what does twice the height give you?
16 feet.
I mean, I guess what is it? What's the difference in?
It's better. It's more
You can
fun.
swing.
Is it better?
I don't know how many adults are.
Are you trying to take it back to like the 90s, where?
I admit I did go on the ones at Richland.
Because those you can swing really high, but I remember some broken bones and.
Oh well, I still, if I see a good swing, I get on it. And at Richland, like you can swing, but it's not. Yeah.
Not a good one, huh?
It's just more for the kids.
It is rated for 5 to 12.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm with you though.
But noted. Okay, then these are some that aren't necessarily they're just kind of moving along in the background of what we're doing. But the soccer fields that we've started to establish on at West State Street Park, we moved around some more dirt. We're going to add some dirt. I don't know if you've been to, I'm rambling at this point, but if you've been over to the East State Park campus and you've seen this huge pile of dirt that came from the tennis court site. And so we're going to start moving some of that dirt to the West State Park to fill in. And then hopefully we'll have some that we could fill in other areas where we need to fill in some low spots in our grounds and plant seed and all that fun stuff. Riparian project, we're continuing to do our invasive control out there behind the community center. We've done bush hogging and spraying, and we also had the poison hemlock back there sprayed. So that's good. And the community center roof is replaced, so that's awesome. Now we're waiting on the solar panels, and that should get going soon. That was an exciting time to get that roof replaced. We did not receive any bids on the restroom facilities down at West State Street for the third time. So I'm going back again to, I had visited this, you can work through the joint purchasing cooperative, so we're member cities, so that we can go ahead and just like reach out to different companies and say, we need you to do this for us. Whenever you're having troubles like this where you can't get a competitive bid or a bid at all. And I had done that in between the second and third bid, but it was a pretty pricey of where I said, this is the facility we want, and they would create that and send us the kit, and we could either have people here install them or they would install it. We've also looked at the concrete cast. They're cast buildings that they come and they drop on site. They're all also very expensive. You can't customize these things, so anyways, I'm going back to the drawing board to explore how we get some restrooms down there at West State Street Park. So delayed again, but I just don't know what's going on. I do know what's going on with the bidding market, and it's hard to get things accomplished in the way the bidding market is today. But we're trying. And still waiting on an update for the Alco canoe put in. And I need to get the rebuild of the stairs at Camp Rotan back kind of on my to-do list. And then the skate park, I forgot to add that, and I can't believe I forgot to add that, but we were awarded the ODNR NatureWorks grant last year to do the skate park repairs to the cradle, and then they needed to review the final plans and approve of them before we really got the green light. And so I did get the green light sometime in between the last meeting and this one, and so we're going to start working on getting the cradle repaired out there, and that's the Earth capsule. It's the round dome enclosed part, and we're going to get concrete over it and smooth it out to take out the lip. So that'll be really exciting, and that will be happening at some time in the near future, the start of it. So yay. Hopefully it'll be done by Skate Jam, because that would be perfect timing. Okay, those are my condensed updates. Yes.
What does ALCO stand for?
Oh, Athens Lumber Company office.
Oh, okay.
So that red building.
Right, yeah, the old Habitat house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright.
But I think the building itself used to be that before it was moved out there, the Athens Lumber Company office. So we're calling it that now.
Okay.
Alco building. It's a red house on West Union where the bike path crosses and goes to West State Street Park. All right. Any
Steph,
questions or comments?
will the parking for that be at where will that happen when the canoe put in?
Oh, the parking is going to remain the same there. There's a foot trail right now, basically, so a footpath that goes down to the river, so people do put in their canoes there. And then our fire department also uses that foot trail for rescues.
Okay.
And so what we want to do is have an actual established infrastructure so that it's easier for our fire department to get in there and do rescues, but also for people who are portaging to put in there. And then I do know that there has been an update in the Whites Mill Dam area. We have to have people who can't. We say you can't, if you're going to paddle or whatever you're doing on the river, you can't go past this point because the Whites Mill Dam area and all of the dangers that are there. And so I know that the city, we're trying to figure out if there's anything that we could possibly do to that area to make it less of a hazard. And there's a study that has to happen. And so it sounds like we have gotten confirmation that we could get a study done. And I think that was something that we were waiting on from the Army Corps of Engineers. And now with the price tag attached to it, it's like, okay, how do we do that? So there's been movement in that we heard back, I think. So,
Okay.
yeah. But that's not something that I'm carrying forward. That's just, I was informed to kind of keep me in the loop. It's not my specific project.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're
That's
welcome.
Very, very good. Anybody have anything they wish to add? All right. Well, next meeting's July 20th. Here, same place, same time, 5:30. With that, anybody feel free to make a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, noted.
Let's go to concert in the parks.